As I say, I'm not a public speaker, and I haven't spoken publicly about my experiences in the war. What I have found in talking to individuals, particularly in the slightly younger age group, although a lot of you fellows would fall into it, they say, what the hell was a guy at your age doing joining the Air Force when you knew how heavy the casualties were? Now, I was born on the 26th of March in 1923, which means that I will be 93 this coming 26th. So I can remember numbers still. Went to the same ball school. Anyway, I was one of the younger ones. There's not many Second World War veterans younger than 93 now. There are a few who joined the Navy at 16, who overseas could have joined the air crew, air ground staff I should say, in England, in the RAF. They could join as a boy at 16, so it is possible you'll see the odd one or two of those who are younger than the 93. But most of us who actually saw service are 93 or more. Why did I join the Air Force? I was still at school when the war broke out. I was going to Fielding Agricultural High School as a boarder. I lived at Northwood in southern Hawke's Bay, had been born at Napier. So my forebears had come out from Scotland in 1850, so I'm very much a Kiwi, even though I get accused every now and again of being a Tom because of the way I speak. There you are. That's the way these things go. I had parents who brought us 3 boys. I was the middle one. They brought us up extremely well, and when I was 5 I had my own BB gun. By 8 I had my own .22 and used to go rabbit shooting. For my 13th birthday, 2 other 13-year-olds and myself took a 303 rifle each and went up into the Ruhini Ranges deer stalking. Now, our parents approved it in every way, shape and form. We'd been trained, we knew how to use firearms. They trusted us, and we knew the limits, knew the boundaries, and we stuck by them. So we had a good youth. I finished school in 1939, at the end of 1939, at the age of 16, and my mate and I immediately rushed off and joined the Wellington East Coast Mounted Rifles, a territorial unit, complete with horses, bandoliers, putties, puggaries and flat hats and so forth, all Boer War gear, all still stamped from the Boer War, saddles and a lot of it. But anyway, they went into camp at Foxton Racecourse at the beginning of March in 1940 for a 3 months camp. And we went into camp, and I actually went into camp while I was still 16 years of age. At the end of the 3 months, they'd started bringing in territorial units for 3-monthly camps. I was a bit of a dab hand with the old Hotchkiss machine gun, which was a little bit older than a Bren or whatever, but it worked, and it was quite a good machine gun. We had the fun of cork with it. But I was fairly good with that, so they got me to stay on as an instructor with the Hotchkiss machine gun for these 3 months. Steadily my age went up until I reached 21. I joined at 19, so a couple of years saw me get to 21. In the meantime, the Mounted Rifles had become an armoured regiment. We'd gone through a period of Bren gun carriers, then to Stuart tanks, and we were up at Wairau with Stuart tanks. And I turned 21 according to the Army, and I was on final leave with the 10th Reinforcements when they caught up with my age, and was the Social Security Department caught up with my age. The original control on people in New Zealand was brought in by the Labor government, and it was a coupon book that once you were 15 you had to have these coupon books, and every 3 months you went along to the post office and you paid the magnificent sum of 5 shillings so the government knew where you were. Anyway, while you were at school over the age of 15, your headmaster looked after the book and got it stamped off in the post office. Once you went into the forces, you didn't have to pay it. And I just struck that period where my December quarter I'd been at school, my March quarter I was in the Army, I didn't pay it, and eventually they caught up with me. Now, the result of that was that the Army, no way in the wide world would the Army take you overseas under 21. Parents can, permission or anything else, they wouldn't take you under 21. And I had a couple of years to go. So I'd seen Kitty Hawks flying from the Hood Aerodrome in Masterton. They were down there and used to manoeuvre with us. We were in the Bren carriers at that time from the Opaki racecourse at Masterton, and I'd seen the Kitty Hawks. My older brother was in the Air Force. He was over in the Middle East, and I thought I'll join the Air Force. My poor mother threw a fit completely. She had no worries whatsoever about my older brother, but I'd been named Frank, and I was a second son, and it had been a trait in the family that the second sons were always named Frank. But in the First World War, her brother and her cousin, who were both second sons, were both killed. So I had a cousin in Invercargill, Frank Poole in Invercargill, who had joined the New Zealand Air Force and was on a short service commission in England when war broke out, and he was shot down and killed early 1940, one of the very first New Zealand casualties of the war. And my poor mother was sure that if I went into the Air Force I'd be done too. However, eventually I managed to get permission to join. So I left the Army, joined the Air Force, and managed to get through all right and was accepted for flying training. Got through my flying training all right and was one of the more daredevil types. So I got put onto fighter single engine aircraft rather than multis, and went from Harewood, where I'd done my Tiger training, to Woodburn, and went through the Harvard course at Woodburn. I was probably a bit lucky while I was at Woodburn. We were out on a navigation flight at one stage in an old Oxford. I don't know where the bits of it are, Don. But we were just the students, 5 of us, in the aircraft along with the pilot and the navigation instructor, and we'd been on this cross country. We're coming back into land at Woodburn, and it ran out of petrol just short of the drone. And there was a road right alongside the strip.
I don't want to be on film.
The field. And there was a farmer driving along the road with a load of baled hay on the back of his truck. And we bounced short of the road, over the fence, wiped his load off with our wing as we came through, went into a tremendous ground loop, and the aircraft broke in half. Those of you who know the Oxford, of course, the interior of the Oxford is the wingspan goes through and there's a step at the back. I'd seen this coming and I'd laid down on the floor and got my shoulders against that because we weren't strapped in at all. When it split in half and went into the ground loop, I flew the rest of the distance of the fuselage and went through the back wall feet first up to my waist. And I was lucky. The other fellas, one of them was killed and two of them were fairly seriously injured. So that was my first experience of getting a few grey hairs. From Woodburn, I then went on to Harewood and went through the Kitty Hawk course at Harewood. From there up to Ardmore and went on to the Corsairs. And it was a first tour for our squadron. We went to Guadalcanal initially. From Guadalcanal we came back to New Zealand after 3 months. Went to Bougainville. You came back to New Zealand, had 3 weeks leave and 3 weeks regrouping out at Ardmore. Then we went back up to the islands again. We went to Bougainville the next time, and after that tour came back again